know, I mean, as we've said before, many of you may know, my name is James. Welcome to this last final part of the speeches, the best men.
And yeah, I'm Sam, and knowing that many here are less acquainted with Dave than us, we've taken it upon ourselves to provide some kind of background and a primer for you.
We have. However, before we introduce the groom, we would really like to take the time to say that it's been a wonderful day, truly. Natalie, you look absolutely stunning, and you've had this way of carrying yourself with such an incredible air of peace and gracefulness. It's been a real pleasure to be here.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And bridesmaids, you all look stunning. My girlfriend is sat just over there, so I'll leave it at that. But James looked at me to inform you, and anyone else here that's listening, that he is in fact single.
I didn't ask that at all, and I'd hoped that wasn't going to be in the speech, but nonetheless, it is true, and I'll be here all evening. It really has been a fantastic day. Special congratulations, of course, also for the groom. It's truly incredible to see him get through a day in the public eye without embarrassing himself. So, well done there.
So, on to Dave.
On to Dave.
When I first found out that Dave and Natalie were dating, or should I say, embarking on an intentional friendship, I was thrilled. It took a while for them to get there, and there are many in this room that have played their role in nudging, supporting and encouraging the couple, as well as giving Dave metaphorical slaps around the face during his freakouts that Natalie didn't actually like him. Needless to say, things went well from there, and it's an honour to be standing next to them now as they begin married life together.
In the early days of their relationship, like Sam, I too was baffled by his use of the term intentional friendship to describe the magic they shared. After all, Dave had been friends with both Sam and I, intentionally, one might say, for many years. Will he be marrying us next? Nonetheless, it's been a real delight to see them together. That said, Dave is usually the first person in the group to point out when someone is punching above their weight in a relationship, and I believe I speak for all of the groomsmen when I say, we have no idea how he did this. In particular, Sam and I are really wondering to what extent that Natalie has realised the rate at which Dave's hair is disappearing. It's been a very common joke amongst us to say that he only has 4 haircuts left, but I can see that he's definitely had a trim in preparation for the wedding, so now we're definitely down to 3.
We thought that it was only proper to open with a few embarrassing stories about the groom. And so, during the stag, we asked a handful of groomsmen what their favourites were.
Needless to say, we were completely overwhelmed. Choosing one would be very, very difficult and posed us a real challenge. Which stories could we include? Which stories would be too embarrassing and inappropriate for the wedding? Should we tell you about the time that Dave was at a cricket match and sat on a man's head because he thought he was a chair somehow?
Or should we mention the time that at Wembley Arena he decided to stand up and take his jumper off, but struggled with the task so much that he removed his shirt, and in the hurry to hide his semi-naked body from the whooping spectators in the rows behind, he missed the chair as he sat down and hit the ground with such a force that he gave himself a back injury?
Should we tell him about the time? Oh, he's got comments. we've got the mic. Should we tell you about the time that he was going to pick me up from the railway station and decided that he was, you know what's coming, decided that he was going to really try and embarrass me, and so he stood by the ticket barriers and he thrust his legs apart and his hips forward and just waited for me to come. And he stood there for the better part of 10 minutes, for I was the last person on the train. And he had actually not retained that position by the end, not because he'd got any type of humility, but because someone had gone past him and just said, without making eye contact, "Don't stand like that." Should we tell that story?
He thinks we shouldn't have.
Oh, that's a shame, really.
But should we mention that with the first church he was on the eldership team for, his most meaningful action was to close the place down?
I don't know, all these sound way too inappropriate really for this speech, I think.
So, to reassure those who've only just met him, Dave is not as unmanly as he comes across. While this impression has led him to be ironically named Danger Dave by 3 separate groups of friends, it turns out he cooks a mean barbecue and can put up an IKEA flat pack as fast as the best of us. Once, while riding a unicycle, which we all know is the manliest of transports, he successfully fought off an incredibly yappy dog and only sustained a minor cut to the face.
Truly impressive. This manly/unmanly dualism was perhaps epitomised at the stag do, where he spent most of the day running around with a paintball gun, dressed as He-Man, but with a pink tutu and a tiara.
Fortunately, we weren't allowed a projector for this.
No.
But it brought a tear to my eye when, during the axe throwing, he successfully split a piece of spaghetti in half with an axe at 5 paces, wearing a blonde wig with his face covered in blue war paint, and confessed that right there was one of the proudest moments of his life.
So we hope this gives you a good picture of him on the day.
Of course, he obviously has slightly more hair then, but that goes without saying. 3 haircuts left.
I'm so sorry, Dave. It has been very easy for us to rib Dave, of course. Not because he makes it easy, but we've only felt comfortable doing so because he's meant so much to us over the years. For all the stories about him embarrassing himself, there are such a greater number of times where he's been there for us, where he's been there to provide the support and encouragement to us when we've been in need.
Dave...
There's no punchline there.
This is the nice part.
Yeah. Nice. It's the eye of the storm.
Dave is a passionate man. And one of Dave's greatest passions, second only perhaps to playing the strategic card game Magic the Gathering, is preaching. I'm often inspired by his desire to see the Word of God faithfully and engagingly preached, and it's been a joy to watch him develop in this area over the past 10 years. Dave is also a man of integrity, always seeking to put into practice what he preaches and to lead others by example in the way that he lives.
He is a great friend and someone who's always made room to help those around him. And crucially, in terms of the survival of our friendship, his generosity has not been curbed by our teasing.
It would be remiss of us, of course, not to mention that Dave has a tremendous way with words. Not only has he been a keen blogger, once awarded Premier Christian Media's title of Young Christian Blogger of the Year, but Dave is also a budding poet.
Budding is certainly one word for it. Over the years, it's safe to say that Dave has written some of the worst poetry known to man.
To be fair, we all need a hobby. It is pretty bad.
It's terrible. We have, of course, managed to dig out one of his poems, and we'd like to read you out one before we head to the toast. Whilst it wouldn't be fair to say that Dave is summarised in this poem, it's important that you will hear here not only Dave's profound respect for the beauty of the natural world, but also his lesser-known talent for wordcraft as a form of torture. This poem is called Trees, and James and I will be reading alternate lines. So, trees. Tall pencils pointing to the sky. Trees. Huge fence posts standing proud, not shy. Trees. They're older than my dad. Trees. They rarely make you sad. Trees. From them, you get wood. Trees. Lots of them are called a wood. Trees. They're predominantly brown and green. Trees. Greater beauty mine eyes have not seen. Don't chop down trees. I'm sure that you will all agree that the groom is clearly a man with talent, even if he doesn't have too much hair left. We hope that we've given you a fair taster for the groom and a fair warning to the bride.
You can look forward to some poems in your honour soon.
Absolutely. Dave is a generous man, he is a wise man, he is a kind man, a strong man, and a great friend. It would be unfair of us, of course, to end by saying that he only has 3 haircuts left. For in our hearts, he has at least 6. Maybe 5.
Ladies and gentlemen, it has been our honour to introduce the groom and commend him forward with Natalie.
Absolutely. We're incredibly proud of them both, and it's our honour to commend them forward for the many years of happiness that they have together. So to close out, would you all please be upstanding? To the bride and groom.